Vanessa fulfilled her dream by enlisting in the Army. She quickly fell into military life, but still actually made the 3-hour one-way drive home every weekend to see her family. She's only 18 at this point. And during these home visits, Vanessa ended up telling her family that although she loved serving, the military life at Fort Hood was not going as she had expected. In fact, she told her family that she was being sexually harassed by a superior at Fort Hood.
Okay.
Devastated, she explained that the reason she hadn't reported yet was because other women had actually filed complaints against this same sergeant, but that these complaints had been dismissed. No one believed them, and if they did, they didn't really care. But she was defeated. She was telling her family members how hard it was. It wasn't a fair fight, and reporting through the correct channels historically wouldn't work. She left the conversation by telling her family that she would just handle the issue herself, but it didn't take away from the traumatic experience and the hurt that she was feeling. 2 more days would pass of normal life, Vanessa going about her normal duties. Vanessa Guillen was seen alive for the last time around noon.
Okay.
The day started as any other. Vanessa had told her friend from Fort Hood named Tay Hightower that she was working a half day and could go hiking with him in the later half of the day. He would never hear from her again after that. After several unanswered texts and calls from a no-show Vanessa, Tay Hightower, her friend, decided to start looking for her. He went back out to the parking lot, and that's when he made the devastating discovery that Vanessa's Jeep was parked in the parking lot.
Wow. Okay.
Tay Hightower had talked to everyone around Fort Hood and had somewhat pieced together Vanessa's day, and that was how he and CJ discovered that every sign pointed to the fact that Vanessa Guillen, their friend, was most likely last seen with another soldier named Specialist Aaron Robinson. A witness said that Vanessa Guillen left the arms room where she had been working that day and allegedly went to the arms room controlled by Specialist Aaron Robinson to confirm some serial numbers for weapons and equipment. And she was not seen after that. It didn't take long for investigators to also notice that the trail ended with Specialist Aaron Robinson. And so they too questioned him about his and Vanessa's interaction that day. When questioned, Specialist Robinson told authorities that Vanessa did come over to his building like everyone had said, and he gave Vanessa the serial numbers and the paperwork that she requested. And that was the last that he saw her, and he thinks that after that she left, and he believes she then went back to the motor pool where she works. You have to think about how strange this is. Shouldn't Vanessa basically be in the safest place? Like, it's not like the enemies broke in and targeted her. This isn't Battlefield we are talking about. The only suspects are really those around her, but that would mean other Army members.
Yep.
So this is kind of baffling. Police were still going over the rest of Robinson's cell phone records, and that's when they discovered something crazy. Robinson's cell phone pinged near a bridge in Belton, Texas. His phone then moved north along the Leon River and remained in that area for 2 hours in the middle of the night.
Gosh.
Based on the results from Robinson's cell phone location pings, authorities from various law enforcement agencies searched the site in Belton, Texas, near the Leon River. Remember, they've already searched this once and found nothing. According to the criminal complaint, a burn site with disturbed earth was identified. What appeared to be the burned remains of a plastic tote or a tough box were found nearby in an area where Robinson's phone pinged. The soil beneath the burn site had an odor of decomposition. However, no remains were found. Finally, on June 30th, 2020, authorities find some answers. At about 1 p.m., partial human remains are found by some construction workers who were working on a fence next to the Leon River, so it wasn't even found by police. They had noticed a horrible smell in the location. According to the criminal complaint, authorities searched the area and identified scattered human remains that appeared to have been placed in a concrete-like substance and buried. Most of the remains were still buried, but some hair was visible sticking up out of the ground.
Man.
Although investigators couldn't, definitively confirm that day that the remains were Vanessa's, they and Vanessa's family were sure, particularly because the hair matched Vanessa's hair, and who else is going to be found right in the area where his cell phone was pinging? But Vanessa's fiance, Juan Cruz, would find out via Twitter her remains had been found.
Oh, that's horrible.
Horrible. Authorities believe that wildlife had likely partially dug up the remains, which had been buried under concrete, which was how they were even found in the first place. So sadly, due to the manner of death, Vanessa's teeth had been too badly damaged to confirm that it was her, so they ended up having to confirm identification through hair strands.
Okay.
It appeared that she had been beaten to death with a hammer.
Oh, so she wasn't even shot or anything.
No.
He beat her to death.
Right. And I mean, I don't need to go into detail, but I just said that her teeth were so badly damaged.
Yeah, that's...
So it's awful. Based on this discovery, authorities interview Cecily yet again. She initially lies to authorities. No, I stick to my story. But then she finally confesses to her involvement in helping Robinson dispose of Vanessa's body. So she not only says Robinson did it, she says, I helped him hide the body. Robinson told her that he had killed a female soldier earlier that day by hitting her in the head multiple times with a hammer. He said he did it in the arms room on Fort Hood property.
Oh, so he did it in the room.
He killed her on the Fort Hood base in the arms room, like where he works.
That's so crazy.
He told Cecily that he then placed the female soldier's body into a big box, and after picking her up at the gas station, Robinson then drove Cecily to a spot near a bridge by the Leon River. According to the criminal complaint, Cecily saw that a box with wheels and handles was already at this site.
That's so messed up, all of this.
Right. Robinson walked Cecily over to the woods and opened up a box. And then that's when she saw a dead female inside of the box. And at a later date, she would identify this dead female as Vanessa Guillen's body. She agreed at this point to cooperate with investigators, completely abandoning Robinson. Robinson wasn't told that he was being held as a suspect in Vanessa's murder. Instead, authorities told him he was being held for violating COVID protocols.
Okay.
Robinson was allowed to talk on the phone during this confinement with Cecily, who by now had been arrested and was cooperating with authorities, but Robinson didn't know this. These calls were being monitored and recorded by investigators. During these calls between the two, Robinson didn't deny what they had done. He then texted Cecily photos of the news articles that laid out how human remains had been found. He said to her in a later call monitored by law enforcement, "Baby, they found pieces. They found pieces."
Oh my gosh.
He's referring to pieces of Vanessa's body. After this phone call, Robinson escaped.
What do you mean he escaped?
Ran away from his fellow soldiers and escaped.
There's no way. Someone let him go. There's no way he just got out of there while everyone's watching him.
Well, now that he had heard that Vanessa's remains had been found, he was desperate to get away. Someone guarding Robinson chased after him, but Robinson made it to his car and drove away off base.
Oh, someone turned around or just like, I don't know.
Close their eyes.
I'm not going to blame someone else, but I am going to blame someone else. I don't know.
You don't think he could escape?
Yeah, I just feel like he couldn't have. I guess people do escape prison, though.
All the time.
So
well, not all the time, but it happens.
It is possible.
Robinson was found in the middle of a street by law enforcement who'd been out searching for him. He was found walking about 10 miles from Fort Hood. When Robinson was confronted by law enforcement in the street, he pulled out a pistol and took his own life in front of them.
Oh my gosh.
Robinson was pronounced dead at the scene at 1:17 a.m. Robinson's motive had to do with his relationship with Cecily. Cecily was still married to another soldier at the time that she was in the romantic relationship with Robinson. Robinson was worried about getting in trouble for violating the Army's fraternization rules, which prohibit such a relationship. Apparently that day, Vanessa Guillen saw Robinson's cell phone lock screen, which had a photo of Cecily, and she knew who Cecily was, and confronted him about having an affair, which in this place is an illegal affair. At that point, an argument ensued, and Robinson allegedly told Vanessa that he wouldn't let her ruin his military career. He then grabbed a hammer and bludgeoned her to death, leaving blood all over the armory room.
Which makes sense why Cecily got involved now.
Right, because she would be in trouble as well. The I Am Vanessa Guillen bill is one of the biggest military reforms in history, according to Vanessa's sister. This bill will basically make it easier for women to report and it be taken seriously. That is the case of Vanessa Guillen.
Nala, are you doing dishes? I hope so.